Welcome everyone to the Countdown to Engineers Week and Girl Day webinar. My name is Thea Sahr, and I'm the Deputy Executive Director at Discover Engineering. I'm so happy you could join us and so happy about all the interest we have for this week's Engineers Week and this year's Engineers Week and Girl Day. Joining me today are two fabulous volunteers. We have Leteshia Lowe, who is joining us. If you want to turn your camera on, Leteshia, that'd be terrific. And Tiffany Borden is joining us. And I'm going to read both Tiffany and Leteshia's amazing bios, and I think you will all be as impressed as I am with them. Leteshia is the Senior Test and Quality Assurance Engineer at IBM, a longtime Discover Engineering partner, where she is responsible for testing the IBM Flash System product family, an all-flash enterprise storage platform. As a first-generation college student, Leteshia is passionate about encouraging and motivating women to pursue careers in engineering by sharing her journey. She is the past pre-collegiate initiative chair of the NSBE Houston chapter, past vice president of outreach at the SWE Houston area section, and a past president of Houston Black Business Resource Group at IBM. Currently, she is the president of the Society of Women Engineers Houston section, and she has her Bachelor's of Science degree in Electrical Engineering from Tennessee State University and a Master's in Education degree in Secondary Education from the University of Arizona. Welcome, Leteshia. Thank you so much. All right. Now, next up is Tiffany. Tiffany Borden is a distribution engineer at the Alabama Power Company. She is the current president of the National Society of Black Engineers, NSBE, Birmingham Professionals Chapter. She also serves as the NSBE Region 3 Professional Executive Board Talent and Professional Development Chair, and she is the current president of the Engineering Council of Birmingham, Alabama. She is a two-time University of Alabama at Birmingham alum, where she earned her Bachelor's of Science in Material Science Engineering and a Master's of Engineering in Civil Engineering Construction Management. She's also a member and active volunteer with the Project Management Institute Central Alabama chapter and has a PMI professional certificate. Tiffany is, Bessemer, Alabama native. I'm sorry, my Alabama geography is not very good. A mother of two and is a true proponent of furthering education as well as giving back to the community. So welcome both Tiffany and Leteshia. Before we dive in and learn more about all of the amazing things that Tiffany and Leteshia do for Engineers Week and Girl Day, I wanted to share just a little bit more about who Discovery is. And we like to say we're the E, we're the engineering and STEM, where the fun happens. Whoop, whoop, right on, Leteshia. And what we really do is we connect, educate, and celebrate volunteers and educators year-round to engage students in engineering. And we do this through all of our various programs, not just Engineers Week and Girl Day, but Chats with Change Makers, the Future City Competition, our Persist Series, World Engineering Day. We have activities, challenge videos, a whole career sections, poster ads, artwork, copyright-free photo library, outreach grants, and online tutorials. Anything you can and do need to engage kids in engineering, you can get at discoverengineering.org. And guess what? Everything is for the low, low price of free. Thank you to all of our sponsors for doing that. Every year, we reach 5.5 million students and parents through our cadre of volunteers and educators like you. So thank you for everything you do. And guess what, kids? We're not happy with 5.5 million people. We want to reach 10 million people. And we particularly want to reach those girls and those students of color and the disadvantaged students that might not know an engineer, they might not know a technician. And we want to reach out to them and show them the amazing world of engineering and technology. So if you weren't already nervous, it's only 5 weeks till Engineers Week and Girl Day. Engineers Week is February 19th to the 25th. Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day is February 23rd. So now I've been talking a lot. So we want to do a poll to all you out there. How prepared are you for Engineers Week? Are you ready? Are you almost ready? Are you got some ideas, but you have no firm plans? Or you have no plans and no ideas and you need help, help, help. And if you are any of those things, any and all of those things, but I think I only let you pick one, Leteshia and Tiffany are here to inspire you and to share all of the things that they are doing out there to engage kids in engineering, whether you're an educator, a parent, a STEM volunteer, or you work in a museum or an after school, whatever your capacity, there's going to be a lot to learn today. So my colleague Sarah is operating behind the scenes. Sarah, would you publish the poll so we can see what people are, I think I might have to share my screen. Actually, why don't I just read it? 4% are ready. That feels about right to me. Leteshia and Tiffany, are you guys ready? No, you can take yourself off mute.
I'm almost ready.
Almost ready. 19% are almost ready. 47, almost half of you have some ideas, but no firm plans. And another 30% are in the I've got no idea and no plans, help section of our of today. So let's help them. Let's help them. Let's give them some ideas. So we're going to learn from the doers. I want you all to type your questions in the control panel, the Q&A, and Sarah will be reading those, and she will burst into our conversation to let us know what your questions are. So we're going to start with kind of an overview. Leteshia, would you tell us about your Girl Day plans?
Thank you, Thea. I am super excited to be here representing the Society of Women Engineers, Houston area section. Our Introduce a Girl to Engineering Day program is coming up on Saturday, February the 18th from 9:30 to 3:30 on the campus of the University of Houston. That is very important when you're looking for locations. We decided to go to a campus. We usually have it on the campus, but we want to inspire the students to strive for something, and that next step for them is college. With a theme this year of engineering the future together, we will host middle school and early high school students from the Houston and surrounding areas. We will have a speaker, lunch will be provided, and we will have 3 STEM hands-on workshops planned for the students involving chemical, mechanical, and environmental engineering. So we're trying to introduce them to all the engineers. I want everyone to be an engineer, so that's just me. In addition, we will host our parent educator program, PEP as we call it, for parents and educators to learn different ways to get their students engaged in engineering, to maybe meet with collegiate counselors and other collegiate students to understand what the parents should be doing at that early stage to get their students involved with engineering.
Nice. I particularly love the parent workshop. And during Engineers Week this year, we're going to release some findings from our Messages Matter online research. And what we really found is parents are our allies. So the more parents really like engineering and the more they know, and I'm pointing up because on my screen, Leteshia's right above me. I shouldn't be doing that.
And also Discover E has lots of resources out there for parents as well. So we will be utilizing some of those. So make sure you are too.
Yeah, great. Tiffany, tell us about your plans for Girl Day and Engineers Week.
So hello, and thank you all again. So as you saw from my camera and you see from my answer, which is almost ready, hey, engineers have to pivot every once in a while. So that being said, our plan, so again, representing the National Society of Black Engineers Birmingham Professional Chapter, our plan is really set for that Saturday, which rounds out Engineers Week, kind of closes it out, where we participate with the McLean Science Center in their Engineers Day or E-Day. At that event, we have about anywhere from like 100 up to 1,000 students or children that kind of just come through and are exposed to different organizations, member societies, and programs that, either have STEM information or STEM activities. So of course, with the National Society of Black Engineers and with Engineers Week, we want to absolutely expose them to an engineering topic. This year, with the Discover E Engineers Week theme of creating the future, we chose a topic based off of sustainability. And there are lots of conservation resource projects that are shown on the Discover E website, and I did get some inspiration from that. And what we'll be working on is actually trying to work and showcase to the students how to build a water filtration system, and to do that using some natural resources that they have in their home.
Great. We have our first question from Sarah in the chat. She said, one of the questions, how can engineers who want to volunteer find local events? Reginald is looking for Huntsville-specific events to volunteer. Reginald, Huntsville, Alabama, the Future City regional finals are this weekend. I know they're looking for judges, so you can get out there. But Tiffany and Leteshia, how did you get involved, and how do you find local events?
Well, so specifically, if you are speaking to Huntsville, Alabama, there is a Huntsville NSBE Professionals chapter, and it also sits within Region 3. So, hey, I'm your connect. See how it's small world? But with that, what I believe we both would say is just to kind of search for engineering organizations within your city. And the main place to start is on those national websites. So if you go to NSBE.org or SWE.org, or even NSPE, which is how I actually got to Discover E. Once you go to those engineering websites with those national organizations, there's usually an option for you to select and find your regional area, and then your regions break down into cities. So a simple Google search is usually all it takes. But prior to we ending this session, I'll make sure to drop my information in the chat just with my name, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn, and I can make sure you get in touch with that Huntsville Professionals chapter.
Nice. Leteshia, anything to add?
I would definitely say the same thing, to look for those professional organizations. Most engineering areas have those professional organizations. So you have NSBE, the National Society of Black Engineers. You have SWE, the Society of Women Engineers. You have IEEE, the Institute for Electrical and Electronics Engineers, ASME, ASCE, like each of the civil, mechanical, all of these organizations have these professional, all of these engineering disciplines have these professional organizations that if you Google your particular city, they're likely in a major city to have a local chapter or section that you can work with. Also reach out to your companies. Sometimes your companies have those volunteer outreach programs that you can get involved with as well.
Yeah, and a big shout out to Northrop Grumman. I know there's a lot of Northrop Grumman folks, and you have a very active corporate citizens affairs group, so you just definitely check out with them. So Tiffany and Leteshia were really nice to send me all kinds of pictures from their outreach events that they've done over the years. So I'll be going back and forth with our slides just so you can see all the great things that they've been doing. But there's a lot of misconceptions about engineers. And that's one of Engineers Week's goals, right? Is to celebrate engineers, technologists, and technicians. Can you talk about your engineering path and how it breaks down common stereotypes? Leteshia, let's start with you.
So my path to engineering, I would say started when I was younger. I didn't know what it was then, but we played video games. My grandmother played video games. She had an Atari. I'm dating myself now, but my grandmother had an Atari. I had a Nintendo. We played video games, and imagining how those things were created and wanting to know more about those things. Moving up to middle school, I would take apart electronics in my house that didn't work to try to figure out why they were not working, and try to put them back together and make them work. I didn't know that was engineering at that time. This is what I was interested in. So in high school, I did have a teacher to introduce engineering to me. The part that's cliche is, yes, you like math and science. Yes, I love math and science. So being introduced to engineering in high school, that's what I really wanted to do in college. But also what drove me, or what was driving me, was I wanted to be able to provide for my family. So knowing that engineering provided a high salary, and those benefits associated with that, that's one of the reasons as well that I wanted to go into engineering. I don't have any engineers in my family. That I think about. I'm the only engineer in my family. So I was just driven to do something that I really liked, regardless of the fact that there are not a lot of women. And also, the numbers are less for African-American women or people of color as well.
Mhm, mhm. And again, that Messages Matter research we're going to be releasing on the during Engineers Week has found that today's students are really interested in that financial aspect.
Yes.
They're looking for careers that can help them provide for their families. So Leteshia, ahead of the curve again. Uh, Tiffany, tell us about your career path. As she was sharing a little bit with me, there's been all kinds of twists and turns, and it's kind of cool. But how has that? When you think about your personal journey, how does that line up with some of the misconceptions about engineers today?
Right. Well, so my dad was an engineer. He worked for NASA. So I grew up in Huntsville in my younger years. So my dad was an engineer for NASA, and he was an electrical engineer. And while I knew I liked math, I knew I liked science, I knew I liked taking things apart, I also liked getting dirty. So I knew that electrical engineering wasn't for me. So in going to college, I was exposed to material science and engineering and metallurgical engineering. So Bessemer, Alabama is about 20 minutes to the west of Birmingham. And both Bessemer and Birmingham, just essentially central Alabama, where I'm located, is really heavy on the iron industry steel. We're known for the Vulcan, which is actually our symbol for our iron plants and things of that nature. So I knew that, I was like, this is the city. This is where I need to be to, major in material science and metallurgy. And going to school, what I found out was that material science engineers were probably the lowest paid of engineers because it's a very niche specialty. But also is that there weren't a lot of opportunities for careers for material scientist engineers. Like a company might hire one, and that person's been there for 15 years, and that's it. So what happened with my degree after obtaining my degree, I kind of just went to work. Worked in retail jobs, worked my most recent job prior to my current job. I worked at an insurance company. But the thing is that my ability to problem solve, the ability to kind of recognize issues, the ability to really hammer out details and do a deeper analysis on things, I think really led me to continuing to further my pursuit of actually working in the career field that I am in now as an engineer. In between, as I was working at this insurance company, I worked on lots of projects, and we didn't use the engineering design process per se, but we used investigative steps, and we use project management principles. And lots of engineers are also project managers. Lots of engineers have to know business concepts and things of that nature. So one thing that I can always encourage is that having any type of STEM degree will provide you the opportunity to learn and adapt to anything. Again, engineers pivot, it allows you that ability to adapt and to use those skills, because they're skills that, what I learned and what Leteshia and what we learned in our engineering programs are not things that they teach you in business, but they teach us business and engineering school. So there are pieces that you'll gain from, working and learning about engineering that you wouldn't obtain anywhere else. In my current role as a distribution engineer, surprise, surprise, I actually work for a power company. That's all electricity, But, with my background in materials engineering and my background in civil engineering with project and construction management, that's exactly what was needed for this role. So I think everything came around full circle. Just a long roller coaster ride to get there.
But it's interesting. It's the education that you got set you up to really explore and to continue to think and do and grow and find things that fit your personal life, your interests, and everything. And one of the you'll all, if you haven't already gotten it, this week's 5 weeks to Engineers Week countdown, the 5 things you can do for engineers. One of them is talk to kids about engineering. If you're an engineer, if you're a technician, if you're a technologist, talk to them. What's involved? What is it like to be an engineer? If you're not, if you're an educator or work in a museum, connect kids with role models, or attend our Chats with Changemakers series, or look at the career resources we have on our website. So, if you are in the field, we really encourage you to talk to kids about it. And if you're not, find people who can. Not many kids have an opportunity to talk to or meet an engineer, and we know how important that is.
Yes, I just want to say I do think that's very important, especially for the younger middle school students, as the research says that if they get involved or get introduced to it in the middle school age range, that they're likely to stay engaged or stay interested in it. So with me only being introduced in high school, that's like really later. I would really encourage you all to just talk to the students, even if they don't know what you're saying, just talk to them about engineering, talk to them, make it relatable to something they like. They like social media. All of that is engineering. Literally all of that is engineering. So helping them to understand and bridge that connection between their everyday items in their house, the cars that we ride in, the public transportation that we use. Engineering is involved across so many different areas. So introducing students to that is very important in that middle school age range.
And you can see how passionate Leteshia and Tiffany are about their experiences. And we do have a question that says, do professional organizations have resources and members who are willing to spend a day at school to talk to students? Yes, they do. Yes. And so you can just, what Tiffany was saying earlier is just, in your area, Google your local NSBE chapter, your local SWE chapter, your local ASCE chapter. So it's civils, mechanicals, electricals. Reach out to your local universities that have a engineering school, or your local companies. There's a lot of local heating and cooling companies have tons of engineers on staff, as do all kinds of local civil engineering groups. So there's tons of people in your local community who know about Engineers Week and want to reach out to you. And sometimes they just need to be asked. We do have a section of our website under Teach. There's a PDF called Inviting a Professional into Your Classroom. So you can download that. Sarah will put the link in the chat for everyone. Like how I just signed Sarah work. So Leteshia and Tiffany, the next question is, this year's Engineers Week theme is creating the future. What's to you? Tiffany, we'll start with you because we've been starting with Leteshia lately.
Yeah, so I'll say that creating the future really just puts the focus on what's coming next. But it's what's coming next, but it's also those who are already here, for them to kind of see. Part of the thing that we are continuing to hear about is, we have supply chain issues, we have limited stock, we have limited availability, we also have limited resources. So with creating the future, a part of that is to absolutely know what we have, what we need to attempt to replenish, and the things that we need to attempt to replace. And I think this is actually a very good piggyback onto the question about the professional organizations, because with many professional organizations, not only do you join organizations for, to keep up with, policies and things and procedures, to network with other professionals, but the purpose of joining those organizations is to give back. And if, I have a son who's majoring in computer science, but he doesn't want to be an engineer. I have a daughter who is very interested in art and design. And, I'm telling her about, like, listen, graphics and, CAD drawings are all things that are going to be necessary and needed. So my thoughts have always been to, push them and to show them, like, listen, again, that the future is engineering. To Leteshia's point, there's actually nothing. There is nothing on this earth that does not require some engineering to work. And in a lot of those cases, there are tons of engineers or engineering disciplines that kind of intersect, or there's some crossing there. But just in creating the future, it really does mean for us to reach out to the kids who are already here, to put that spark into them, to put that interest into them, to build them up, to know what they have to sustain for all of us.
I muted myself and then I forgot to unmute. Leteshia, anything to add?
I don't know if I can beat that, Thea.
It was a perfect answer, I know.
I would just say it's very inclusive to me, because it's saying, what am I going to do to help, create the future that we all are walking into? What's my part in it as well? And it's getting others involved as well, to say, okay, what are we going to do moving forward to help create? If you think about where I was when I was in college, social media was not a thing. These iPhones and things that we have, no, I had a flip phone and a pager. So the technology that changes over the years, how are you going to be a part of that? How are you going to be a part of creating that for the next generation or yourself? So that's all I have to say.
Yeah. I had a payphone. We have a great question from the audience asking, any tips on breaking through the wall of awkwardness and getting middle schoolers to talk to us, engineers and technologists, when you're visiting a classroom? Sometimes they have questions, but they're way too shy to ask them. So you both are, experienced outreach folks. How do you start that conversation with the kids? Either one, whoever wants to start.
I'll start. And I'm sorry, but I think that it's really just opening the door for participation. Like I think part of it is asking questions that require action and not just your voice, right? So asking a question like, "Well, raise your hand if you're a morning person," and then getting someone to raise their hand, and then it simply is just having to call on that person. So what makes you a morning person? Like, why do you prefer the early time? And then it sometimes sparks a discussion between that student that's like, no, after, waking up and getting ready for school, I just rather do all of that studying and stuff. It's just, I'll do it in the evening time. So it really is, it's just, opening the doors and asking questions to the audience that, provides an action step for them, as opposed to just a verbal response. Because again, most kids are going to be hesitant to like, should I be the first person to speak? But I mean, if you ask them a question and they have an answer, like a either or, someone has to raise their hand. So it kind of persuades them to participate in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely agree, Tiffany. That is a great response. I would piggyback on what you were saying. I know it's difficult because if you work with so many students, like our Introduce a Girl to Engineering programs, we could pull in anywhere from 2 to 250, but calling on the students by their name and asking them, if you ask a general question, or you can say, well, hey, Tiffany, what do you think about this? Is a good way to get them engaged, because they feel like, oh, well, she knows my name, or she at least is addressing me by my name. Another thing that I did in a previous event was when the students we asked a question about, well, what do you want to do when you go to college or when you grow up, type of thing, because that's a general question. But what I did in their responses, I related it to engineering in every sort of way. So if someone said something art related, and I was like, oh, those wearable devices that people do, or they dance in when the stuff is highlighted and things are moving, like that's all engineering. So anything that they were saying, I was bringing it back to engineering and how it related to engineering. And they just loved it and just thought it was the funniest thing ever. But I definitely say make it relatable for them. We talked about they are glued to their phones. Have you talked to them about, okay, well, what do you think it takes to make this app, or because that's engineering. What do you think it takes to have 3 cameras on the back of your phone that they have now? So all of that is engineering. So try to make it relatable to where they are, middle school or high school, to things that they care about. I think that's very important.
I also think that it's going to take a few minutes. It's not going to be this instant relationship, and those hands-on STEM activities that we have all over our website that I know that Leteshia and Tiffany use.
I love them.
You need to start with those and, ask them direct questions about their design, what they're thinking, what they're trying. And then you can, Tiffany, I love the idea of getting them to raise their hands. How many of your morning people? Or we talk a lot sometimes about just goofy questions, what's your favorite breakfast cereal? How many people are Captain Crunch kids? Or, just think about something that you have. I'm a Captain Crunch person. But
who is their favorite artist? Do not,
yeah.
If you ask this question, be prepared.
Yeah, but the hands-on activities is a real icebreaker for a lot of kids. And we actually have, Discovery has a online workshop called Creating Welcoming and Inclusive STEM Environments. And it talks a lot about, like Leteshia, using their names. That helps them be seen asking them questions about themselves that maybe not be STEM related, and giving them authentic feedback. So if you're looking for more about how do you reduce that awkwardness, how do you create an inclusive and welcoming environment, you can go to that page. There's some video, there's some tips, all kinds of great things there. I actually want to, I'm skipping around. Poor Leteshia, we had this, it was all mapped out, but we're getting so many great questions. I'm going to skip over to ask them, what's your favorite Discover E resource? What are your go-tos? Which ones do you like and why do you like them? And what do you look for when you're trying to find those STEM activities? Leteshia, you go first. I was like, neither one's talking.
I think we were both like waiting, like, who's you gonna call? I absolutely, as you can see, I got excited when she was talking about the STEM activities. I love hands-on activities because that is how I learn. I like more tangible things. So I love the resource, the STEM activities on Discovery websites. There's a ton of resources available, different types of projects. Things that you can do, and the lessons are there, the instructions are there, pictures are there. So it's very formulaic to give you that. Even if you don't know anything about it, they have it all laid out. So that is my favorite part because of how well documented it is and the information that it provides in multiple disciplines of engineering. So even though I prefer electrical engineering with batteries and motors and wheels and just, I get excited about things like that, there are other areas of engineering that are on there with the lesson plans and the hands-on activities that I really appreciate, and I thank them. And that is a resource that I use yearly on a regular basis.
Right. Tiffany, what about you? What are some of your go-to? And you can name names, or my favorite, I love the Puffmobile. And House of Cards is fabulous too. But what is it about hands-on activities, and which ones do you like and why?
So actually, I did the House of Cards, I think last year as my STEM activity. But it really is the variety. It is the fact that the activities are, categorized by age range or that target audience that you're looking for. But I really find it handy for the step-by-step instructions, just kind of knowing that anyone, any adult, any teenager or student who comes and volunteers, really has the ability to perform this project. Like, I mean, again, there's an engineering design process. Everything happens in steps and everything happens for a reason. So knowing that and being able to, invite someone out to say, hey, would you like to, participate with me for engineers day at the science center? And, I can literally hand them an instruction sheet and they know exactly what to do, and I think that just having that resource with Discovery of preparing those documents for us, Discovery prepares takeaways. I think that I got some of the printable bookmarks about things, to give to the kids. And it's like, do kids even still read books? Yes, they do, because the schools make them read books and they give them books, and I have to buy books for my kids. So yes, they still read books and they need bookmarks. So just like, those, again, tangible resources, the hands-on activities, the step-by-step processes, pretty much everything that Leteshia said, everything that Thea's already said. And just, again, like just having the resource of the website, period, is just absolutely wonderful. Things are low cost and no cost. I've looked at the project where, they talk about the I guess the 6-pack rings that go around the duck's neck and that, type of water pollution and things of that nature. So I looked at that a couple of times. Well, I'm just like, man, if I were to bring in this little tub pool, I would have kids splashing and running around, jumping in with their sneakers and everything. So I didn't know how to clean that up. But just the idea, like if I had, a full day outside activity, that's the one I'm going to. So just knowing that these aren't just ideas that you can use for Engineers Week, they're ideas that you can take into classrooms, that you can take into other programs, that you can take as far as like church and organization activities as well. It's absolutely more beneficial than I can think anything in.
Or you can do at home with your own kids.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All of these activities have been tested on one poor now 18-year-old household. But question for you, this is from earlier. What types of activities translate well in a virtual format? So we've talked a lot about these hands-on. How do you How do you handle if it's going to be a virtual event and doing hands-on? Either one.
Go ahead.
And I guess what I'll say is that so we've within NSBE, I think this was on the regional, it was on the regional level. We had a webinar where we had different engineering discipline or different engineering, I'm sorry, different professionals of different engineering disciplines. That's a mouthful. That came on and just kind of spoke to the kids about what they did. You know, they brought presentations to kind of show, you know, what their work was and to kind of get the kids excited and interested in asking questions. I think that the improvement to that process would be getting kids to pre-register so you knew how many kids were coming. If you have the budget to send those materials to the kids that they might be using. So that way everyone can be on camera and participating together and actually doing the activity. But also using items that people already have in their homes. Generally, everyone has rice. Everyone has salt. Everyone has sugar. Most people have milk. I don't know about eggs too much anymore, but but like getting all of those like household things, and just kind of again, Discovery has a list. They give you all the tools and materials that you need. So, like having them say like these are the things that you need to bring. Like well, if you don't have a popsicle stick, use a pencil. Most kids have pencils. So, just knowing what some of those alternatives are and just making sure that not only are you prepared as that facilitator, but the kids are prepared at home, I think that you can still have a very successful virtual event with hands-on activities.
Yeah, no, definitely. And we know a lot of our partners, did the thing of sending activities, the materials in advance, but the House of Cards activity that Tiffany and I were talking about, it's index cards. Now, kids might not have them, but that's pretty inexpensive for you to mail, 15 index cards to each kid, and their job is with index cards and tape. Can they build a platform that can hold up a weight? And here's my handy dandy fidgetness, but that is a really easy activity that can translate to online. So you can look at the materials list first, and you can filter all of our activities for time. So any activity under an hour on our website, you can start to filter and see some of those that'll be short. We also have another question. I really like this question because I think it gets at the engineering design process. And so I'm setting you up with my own personal opinion. But they're taking an event curriculum from a middle school event and adapting it to the high school level. What are the differences in needs between these two age groups? Leteshia, what do you when you think about middle school versus high school?
So I would think about what the goal or the intent of the particular STEM activity is, and make the challenge a little bit harder, because the skills or the developmental level of the middle school of the high school students should be a little bit more than the middle school students. So they need to be challenged a little bit more for the activity. So depending on if it says, do steps 1, 2, and 3, most of the activities say, well, here's a stretch goal to try to do this additional thing or as a part of the engineering design process. Once you build and test, how can you improve upon it? So you go back to the build stage and you redo it. How can you improve it and make it better? So incorporating additional challenges as a part of the activity for high school students would be good. Those are my recommendations.
Mm-hmm. We have another kind of, how do you structure an activity for kids of varying age ranges who have social, emotional learning issues or other developmental challenges? And I'll just chime in on this because I've done this. And I think it's that engineering design process. If you start the kids where they are, right, you don't just set it up as a competition. Start it with what they are, celebrate their successes, and have lots of volunteers to help you out with those kids.
That's very important. Lots of volunteers.
Yeah. We have another great question. Tiffany, I'm going to ask you. I don't work at it, but I work at an environmental engineering firm. What are the different ways we can engage our young and senior engineers during Engineers Week? What types of activities have you seen these individuals enjoy? How do you engage? How do we celebrate the engineers out there that are already in the field? What do you do for them?
Well, again, I like stuff. I like these things that I can touch and feel, tangible things. So, so I mean, if there's any type of recognition event, or I mean, if there could be a luncheon, or or something that brings all of the engineers together, because one thing that a lot of engineers don't do, or that there's that stereotype that engineers are introverts and we don't want to talk to people. Imagine if we didn't want to talk to people and we're hosting a webinar here today, so there's that. But it's kind of, one is bringing people together so that they can recognize the community that they're a part of at that company, but then also providing them an activity of impact. One thing that I can say with my chapter here in Birmingham is that whenever I present them with a community driven activity, if the only limitation that we have is the number of people they need, like for McWayne E-Day, I may only need 3 or 4 people to assist with that event because we don't have such a large this amount of table space. But again, working with an environmental engineering firm, I mean, let's combine some things, like find a local high school or middle school and do a cleanup, but also engage the kids. And now you're walking with kids, you're talking with kids, you're investing in their school. And then now they see engineers and what engineers do, and that, oh, engineers actually have free time. They can, come out. Engineers go outside. Those things are going to not only reignite that passion in the employees, but it'll do exactly what we need to do and create that future spark for the kids that they may have that program with as well.
Leteshia, anything you want to add?
I would definitely agree with everything Tiffany was saying, asking the engineers or the senior or junior, whatever level, what it is they might be interested in doing. I know some people have a preference for in a particular age range of students, but finding those events or those activities, and especially giving back, that idea of giving back or going into the community and doing something, I think will help. So.
All right. And so now we're going to go into Tiffany and Leteshia. You guys are a wealth of knowledge and amazing outreach champions. So thank you for everything you do. I'm going to just kind of spend the next 10 minutes or so, maybe not even 10 minutes, 5 minutes, just reviewing some of the resources we have here at Discover E for you. And whether you're at an after-school group, a classroom, a museum, you're working at an engineering firm. But so there's Engineers Week and Girl Day are all about celebrating engineers, technicians, and technologists, and also engaging youth. So some ideas for engaging those younger and senior engineers. Tell a friend it's Engineers Week. Not everyone knows. It's go social and thank an engineer, nominate them for an award, attend a local Engineers Week event. You can also host a pizza party, a pizza lunch. Just kind of celebrating Engineers Week. And we have one of our partners actually hosts they're a multinational firm, and they every year host an Engineers Week competition between all of the offices around the world. So the engineers do a hands-on activity, and the region that wins, the office that wins, gets to design the challenge for next year. And they've been doing that for almost 40 years. All kinds of things, whatever you want to do. College campuses do all kinds of great things around Engineers Week. For STEM volunteers, we talked a lot about STEM volunteers, activities. Go visit a classroom or an after school, present engineering careers, volunteer. Future City, we have 24 regional competitions happening this weekend and another 5 the weekend of the 26th. So you can go to futurecity.org and register to be a judge. I know that they're looking for more judges. You can also, I think a lot of the, not everywhere, but some of the COVID restrictions have been lifted. So inviting students to your workplace. Oops, my piece wants to, my PowerPoint had a mind of its own. Leteshia, anything you want to add for just things that engineers and technicians can do, STEM volunteers can do? Anything I missed? Nope, I got a complete list.
I think, yeah, because I love going into the classrooms. I love engaging with the students. We do that. We go into the classrooms. We do panels like we're doing here. We do the STEM events, not just the one time to introduce a girl to engineering, but we do STEM events throughout the year where the schools, they have these fairs, and we come in and we do individual STEM activities during those type of events for the schools. So they're always hosting those type of events that people can get involved in as well.
Cool. Nice. So then for educators, we've talked a lot. Leteshia and Tiffany are both A++ volunteers. So it's, I hope that you learned about doing some hands-on activities with students. It's looking for activities that have that engineering design process really scale for kids' ages and whatever pre-knowledge they're bringing to the table. Invite engineers to visit and do activities and talk about their jobs. And I mentioned it before, but there is a little PDF that walks you through the steps of how you can do it, where you can find engineers and technicians, what you should say to them, what you can expect from them, and kind of pre-conversations to have with them. We did have a question earlier where someone was asking if they're going to be on a Zoom call, can they expect the kids to have their pictures on the Zoom call? What are the privacy components? And that's a conversation you want to have with the faculty or staff at the school or the after school or the library. What are their local policies about that? Each organization, each group is going to have a different policy around Zoom, but just know you never want to be on a call with kids by yourself. You always want to make sure that teacher or that after school leader or another adult is with you. Go on a field trip to a museum or a local engineering company or university. Google Engineers Week activities in Houston, and a whole list will come up, and they'll really start to populate starting in early February. Or you can organize an engineering event at your school or after school. It's as simple as picking your 3 favorite activities, setting up tables for it, and letting the kids kind of drop by and do the activities. Museums and libraries, create a display of engineering books, host a drop-in engineering activity hour, and ask local volunteers like Tiffany. She's working with the McWane Science Center, right? That's a great collaboration. So we have more resources than you can ever, they could take a stick at from these beautiful Zoom backgrounds to ads you can do to the bookmarks that were already mentioned. We also have t-shirts, graphics, bookmarks, customizable language. It's in our footer, downloadable resources. You can get to it from the Engineers Week page on our website or the footer of our website. And then our activities. Oh, look, Puffmobile, already mentioned it was one of my favorites. A lot of our activities have leader instructions, student instructions, and video instructions. So whatever flavor you want, you can find activities for you there, and you can filter. You can filter them by time, grade, subject matter, discipline, and type. Any other thing you want to say about hands-on activities, Leteshia or Tiffany? What else do you like about? Or do people...
I would just recommend it. Like, I really think kids need that tangible, let's do this together. We're talking through the engineering design process. We're doing it, through the build process, the testing process, the design process. So I think they need that hands-on. To me, that's just me personally, but I love it.
And I'll double down to add that just having that tangible experience is something that's easier to communicate. It's a lot easier to tell someone what I did versus what I heard, because they may not remember everything. But when they can actually communicate the actions that they actually perform, the team that they work with, the success of the project that they had, like that, again, it builds some excitement, some confidence. It's like, well, you know what? I didn't get my electric car to go this time, but next time, I'm going to try that when I get home. So it helps and builds on by having that tangible thing.
And what you said, that they get to, for us, they get to take it home. So because each of the individual students have their own particular thing that they're doing, they get to take it home with them and show it off. So, yeah.
And I think we had a question. Every year, my company hosts a mini event for Engineers Week that usually involves building something within an hour and having a competition. Do you have any ideas that could be done to fit the theme this year? look at all these great filters. You can do it by time, you can do it by subject, you can do it by discipline, and you can find all kinds of activities. And what's so great about creating the future is pretty much any of these activities will fit into that particular theme. We also have a new store. We have t-shirts, we have stickers, we have these beautiful water bottles and baseball hats and pop sockets. So, I think Tiffany, it was you who were saying you like to hand things out to kids. You can come and order them and they'll be sent to you in plenty of time for Engineers Week. Don't have it in you to create anything yourself. You're still in that help stage. Chats with Changemakers, January 26th. It's at 1 p.m. Eastern. These are also recorded. You can meet Bart Miller, a civil engineer who builds some of the biggest sports stadiums in the US. I'm gonna sit in on that. It's a cool job. And then during Engineers Week on the 23rd, Thursday the 23rd, we're gonna have a very special Chats with Changemakers on Girl Day. And we will have 2 female engineers who work at a little organization called NASA. So we're excited about that. And then we have our March chats and they just keep going and going and going. We also have our Persist series. That's for women and their allies who are in engineering already. And you get to meet Monica Morales. She works at Jacobs and she's a first generation college grad talking about clean water and her particular journey and how she persists in the field. And World Engineering Day, it's not just about Engineers Week, it's March 4th. And I don't know who said it, but engaging kids and celebrating engineers is not just a 1 week or a 1 day event, it's an all year event. So any other questions, put them in the QA. Sarah, do we have any other burning questions from folks? Or Tiffany and Leteshia? Sorry, saw Leslie on my screen. Is there anything else, any other piece of advice you would offer a teacher?
There actually, sorry, everybody. Hi, it's Sarah here. There is one question that came in just now that I really would love for you all to answer. This person says, hi, I'm 8 and I want to start a STEM club to meet students. Any suggestions on how to get started?
Okay, that is Squeaky Jones. So I will let Tiffany talk about NSBE Junior, and I'll talk about SWE Next. So the Society of Women Engineers has a K through 12 outreach program targeted to students in K through 12, where you get to participate as individuals, or you can form a club. All of the information is out there on our website, www.swe.org, for you to find all that information out. But it's an opportunity to meet students that have your interests, they're interested in engineering or interested in other STEM fields, and it has information about activities. You can form a club. I am currently a SWE Next counselor. My girls are in high school in California. I'm in Houston. So we meet remotely on a regular basis, but they do study groups, they do outreach, they do fundraisers, they do panel discussions with the local collegiate section of SWE to get them to talk about their engineering disciplines. So there's so much you can do with our SWE Next group out there, and that information is available on swe.org. But that is an opportunity to get together with other students and do STEM activities throughout the year, not just on in a particular month. Nice.
Tiffany, talk about NSBE Junior.
Yes, so NSBE Junior similarly is a K through 12 program that essentially just provides the opportunity for STEM activities for that age demographic, for those pre-college students, right? NSBE Junior does have to be facilitated by some adult. It cannot be a NSBE professional member, so it has to be a parent, someone who may work in the field but is not a member of a local chapter. There are NSBE Junior chapters that are connected, or they can host events with some of the local professional chapters. But the first thing I would say is, with your parents' permission, as you're 8, with your parents' permission, visit nsbe.org. That's NSBE.org, and there is a section called NSBE NSBE Junior, and you'll go to NSBE Junior and you'll find out more information, or you can get more information on how to start a NSBE Junior chapter. But absolutely, I mean, again, while the support and backing of our organizations is absolutely great and wonderful, if you have an interest in science, technology, engineering, and math, you're enough, right? But if you can find someone else who shares that, if you can find others and friends who also support that, then you guys get together. Now you know about discovery. You can find these, wonderful activities that might fit your age range. Again, safety first, but and also get your parents' permission. But just find some friends, find some other people who are interested. Build that support system of your own, and then get connected with some of these chapters as well. And that'll just be something to build on what you already have.
Exactly. That's such great answers. You all are amazing. Love it. I could talk to you all day long. Leteshia and Tiffany, any advice you'd give to after-school leaders, teachers, about celebrating Engineers Week, and just one simple thing they could do?
Wait, one simple thing? Okay. I do want to bring up, this is not one simple thing, but I do want to bring up, because someone asked a question about budget, and I know we didn't get to cover that, but sponsorships are very important. If you don't have the funding, I would advise you to seek sponsors, either your local engineers in your city or the companies. The companies are willing to sponsor STEM events. You have to put the proposal in place, or in writing, or in some form of PowerPoint presentation or something, but there are companies that are willing to sponsor STEM events in your local communities. You just have to seek them out. For our particular program, Kim Moore's is our sponsor for this year. As I mentioned, we're providing lunch, but the entire event is free. It's free for the students, it's free for the educators, free for the parents to attend. So our entire event is free, but we would not be able to host these type of events without our sponsors. So seek out those sponsors that are willing to, buy the materials and provide the other additional resources that you need to host these type of events.
Tiffany, any advice?
I'd say advice to teachers, just in celebration, is to know, one, is that you're the reason why we're engineers. We couldn't do it without you, right? So I think that it's important for you as a teacher to highlight an accomplishment that you've made. You've created this amazing thinker, you created this problem solver. So highlighting that highlighting yourself along with Engineers Week, I think is very important. I would say you may want to turn it into something where, again, we're the E, so we're, of course, the fun part of STEM, but take it to, maybe like doing a STEM week where you're highlighting, or a STEM month where you're highlighting science, and then technology, and then engineering. And we have a great week designated for that. And then math, because everybody needs that. But, like, highlight those things, collaboratively, so that, while we do want the focus to be on creating the future engineers, that we, kind of broaden it to really showcase that, I mean, you need all of those things to be an engineer anyway, right? So just again, like, know that without you, we wouldn't be who we are. So just kind of celebrating your success in creating engineers might be something that would help you to facilitate a program.
We have one final question. Someone's asking if there's contact information for the speakers today. So do you want to just give your handles on LinkedIn if people want to reach out and link in with you and chat with you that way, or reach out to you through your SWE chapter or your NSBE chapter?
Yes, but how do we do that?
If you can put in the chat and just say it to all, I think.
Yeah, when I tried before, I could only talk to you all.
Oh, you just
yeah, I sent my information to Sarah, my LinkedIn information, because it would only go to just you guys.
So Sarah's on top of it. I'm sure she might have already put it in there and I just missed it. Well, thank you to Leteshia and Tiffany so much. This was it was fun when we had our pre-conversation. It's even more fun today. So thank you all for joining me today, and thank you for all the people who gave us an hour of your time. And we hope that you are inspired moved up a category in the poll. I feel like sometimes after we should have a post poll, and hope that you got some ideas and some inspiration. Leteshia and Tiffany, thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Glad to be here. Thanks.
Bye-bye.